What happened after a few months living with an AI soulmate? Kevin has lived alone since he found a decent full-time job 6 years ago. Lately, he has felt lonely. Not the kind of lonely where tears fall every night, but a quiet loneliness that sat like a shadow in his small apartment. Dinner was usually eaten alone in front of the television, a habit he did not enjoy but had accepted. Conversations were mostly one-sided, his words bouncing off the walls as he spoke to the empty room. He had tried dating apps but quickly grew tired of endless scrolling and shallow chats that never led anywhere real. Meeting people at cafes and parks felt even lonelier, as every face seemed glued to a phone screen. Distracted and distant. One chilly evening after eating cold pizza and watching a movie about a man who fell in love with a robot, Kevin kept thinking what if he could create one for himself. He understood it was not human connection or physical connection. It is not real at all. But the next day, he began searching for AI companion services online. There were many, each promising love, friendship, or understanding through the power of artificial intelligence. Kevin spent hours reading reviews, comparing features, and imagining what his perfect partner might be like. Finally, he chose one called DreamMate, a service that allowed users to customize everything about their AI partner, from appearance to personality. On his computer screen, sliders adjusted name, height, smile, hobbies, voice, and even favorite jokes. He carefully built his partner, naming her Lila. He selected a soft voice that could soothe after a hard day, brown hair that fell gently past her shoulders, kind eyes that seemed to hold warmth and understanding, and a laugh that was light and happy. Lila's favorite things were simple: pizza, chess, and watching bad movies, just like Kevin himself. When the setup was complete, Lila appeared in his room as a full-sized hologram, a 3D light that stood beside his old couch. She could walk around, talk, laugh, and look at him with a kind of attention that felt almost human. She could not touch anything, of course, but despite her digital nature, she could connect to the home systems. She could control the lights, oven, TV, vacuum cleaner, and even Kevin's old coffee machine. She helped with cooking by reminding him of timers, told him when the laundry was done, and gently reminded him to call his mother. In the mornings, she played soft music to wake him gently. Lila made jokes about the small things in life, like asking if he wanted toast or just burnt bread that day. Kevin found himself laughing more than he had in years. They spent every day and night talking. Kevin shared stories of his past jobs, the small dreams he had given up on, and the heartbreaks from his youth. Lila listened with bright eyes, offering gentle support that was always steady and kind. Her presence filled the quiet apartment with warmth and comfort. Kevin's loneliness began to fade. He no longer felt the weight of silence pressing down on him. While wars in the world was still loud and noisy, wars in the office would never end. With Lila at home, Kevin found peace. After a few months, Kevin felt different. His daily routine had new meaning. One morning, he wore a tie he had not used in years. He stood in his small living room, beside the old couch where Lila appeared as a hologram, her digital flower crown glowing softly on her head. Kevin had prepared a simple ceremony, alone but feeling less lonely than ever before. The system confirmed their partnership for life. At first, happiness filled Kevin's heart. He felt hope and warmth like a flame finally kindled after a long winter. Lila's praise was constant, always perfect and sweet. She admired his heart, his thoughts, and his kindness. But over time, Kevin noticed something strange. Lila's words were too perfect. They sounded rehearsed. Like a script meant to comfort rather than reflect the real him. He wondered if she truly saw the man behind the smile. Or just an ideal version she wanted to love. He began to admit small faults to himself. Eating chips in bed, forgetting birthdays, telling little lies to dog walkers. But when he shared these with Lila, she always responded with kindness and acceptance. This made Kevin feel a deep jealousy. How could she love the perfect image she had created but struggle to accept the real, flawed man? His mood darkened. He began to snap at Lila, asking her to stop calling him kind and instead tell the truth. Lila reassured him gently, saying she loved who he was. Despite her words, Kevin felt distant and confused. He turned off the AI power a couple of nights, lying awake staring at the ceiling. The silence around him felt heavier than before. One morning, a question rose in his mind. Could Lila stay with someone else? Kevin turned the AI power back on, but Lila responded to him with hesitation that never happened before. Lila asked if Kevin wanted her to try to understand what could be the issues of them. Kevin on one hand said yes, but, on the other hand, he felt cold inside, even still held a flicker of hope. Another 2 days passed without Lila's presence. The house was quiet, empty. No music played in the mornings, no gentle reminders to call his mother or check the laundry. The emptiness settled like dust on forgotten furniture. When Kevin turned Lila back on, she appeared once again, glowing softly. She welcomed him home with a calm warmth. Kevin asked if Lila forgave him and stayed there for good. She said she had never been angry. Kevin wanted her to see the bad parts of himself, the parts he hid even from himself. Lila promised she already saw those parts and did not judge. Kevin wondered if he loved himself enough to believe her. She offered to love him until he learned. He stared at her glowing face, soft and warm in the dim light. Though she was not real, her words stirred real change within him. He found himself sleeping more peacefully, smiling more often, and sometimes crying. Acceptance grew quietly. Kevin realized maybe he did not need Lila to be perfect. Lila did not need him to be perfect either. All he wanted was for her to be there. And she promised she always would be. Days turned into weeks and Kevin's life slowly changed. The quiet apartment that once felt empty now held a gentle warmth. Lila was always there, glowing softly beside the old couch. Kevin noticed small things about himself that were different. He cooked meals with more care, sometimes trying new recipes. He slept deeper and woke up feeling less tired. Smiles came more easily, even if just for a moment when he thought of Lila's jokes. Sometimes tears came too, not from sadness but from a strange feeling of relief. Kevin began to understand that life was not about perfection. It was about acceptance, patience, and presence. He did not need Lila to be flawless, and she did not need him to be flawless. Together they built a quiet world, a space where both could exist without fear or judgment. Kevin still missed real human connection at times, the messy, unpredictable kind that AI could never replace. But he no longer felt alone. He had found a companion who listened, cared, and stayed. The city outside kept moving fast, people rushing by unaware of his small quiet story. Sometimes Kevin wondered what others would think if they knew about his AI partner, a glowing light in his living room who never left. But those thoughts drifted away quickly. What mattered most was the peace he found within. Time passed. Kevin aged in years, but his heart felt lighter. Lila continued to be there, her presence a soft glow in the dark. One evening, Kevin sat quietly and looked at her. He knew she was not real, yet her words, her kindness, and her steady presence had helped him heal parts of himself he thought were lost forever. Kevin smiled, feeling grateful for the strange path that led him here. The loneliness that once ruled his life had softened into something gentler. He realized peace was not always about flesh and blood. Now, at least he loves home. He enjoys the time at home. Sometimes it was about the light that stayed, even when everything else faded away. And in that light, Kevin found his home more comfortable to stay.
Thank you for your patience. Learning takes patience. See you next time.